guys? Welcome to That Local Life. I'm your host, Sydney. This is Tyler.
How's it going, everybody? We're on episode 16. 16, I believe.
That
We
sounds
have
correct.
very special guest with us today. Native, local to the area, John Braese. John, how are you?
Pretty good. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for being on.
Thanks for asking
we
me.
appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah, it was just kind of happened spur out of the moment. And I think you reached out to us.
Yeah, I did.
You commented on a post or something. And
I saw one of your podcasts and went, oh, well, this is kind of local business, helping local business.
Yeah.
Let's try this.
it's a great platform to knock what you do. So I think it's great. Let's start at early childhood. Then we'll go kind of raise up. So you mentioned to me that you were born Boise area, grew up there?
Yeah, I grew up in Boise. Lived in the same house the whole time. Went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, graduated from Bora,
Nice.
went up to University of Idaho.
Okay. You're an Idaho boy.
Oh, yeah.
U of I.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
So what did you do as a kid? Like what were the activities that you guys did growing up?
Boise was a lot smaller because I'm really, really old.
Sure.
Okay, so
You don't look that old.
He was even a lot smaller 10 years ago, so.
So there was Bishop Kelly, Bora, Capital, Boise High School, and that was
Okay.
it. I mean,
Dang.
Wow.
Centennial and all those weren't even
Didn't
in
exist.
anybody's
Was Meridian yet?
deal.
No?
Meridian was there, but Meridian was literally a bunch of dairies,
Oh,
and
Yeah.
the town of Meridian was like one street, and that was it.
that's crazy.
That's nuts. I can just picture to what it is now.
I mean, Eagle was, nobody even knew where Eagle was.
Yeah, that wasn't even a thing.
It was so far away that it was like, who
I'm not-
goes to
yeah.
Eagle?
Yeah, and now
That's funny.
you haven't been to Eagle? Like
Oh,
what?
Now nobody
They all-
can afford to go to Eagle.
Yeah, seriously. It's
I don't even mess
expensive.
with Eagle Road because I'm from Boise. I lived there basically my whole life, and my parents are still there. We'll go there, and I'm like, we're avoiding Eagle Road. We're not going down
You
that
don't
road.
touch that road.
Yeah, I mean, I start getting ticked off around Caldwell,
Yeah.
and by Nampa, I'm just
Once you hit that
grumpy.
totally hot.
construction,
And then
oh yeah.
Meridian is like, oh, God.
All right.
I know,
We're turning
my-
this car around.
Yeah, my parents are like, why don't you come visit more? And I'm like, because I don't want to come to here anymore.
No, I mean, and I lived up on the bench, which was Franklin Orchard area, and we were out of Boise.
Yeah.
Now that's the place to be. Like
And-
that's where everybody wants to live.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new neighborhoods going up there.
There is.
And my first home I bought was out on 5 Mile.
Okay.
So I pheasant hunted as a kid where
Uh-huh.
I bought my first home.
Oh, that's funny.
So funny. Now you got to drive all the way out to Pleasant Valley to shoot anything.
You do. Yeah, you have to go a long ways away. So what was your first job?
Worked at a place called Grand Central, which,
Sounds like a cafe or something.
no, it was kind of like a Kmart.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was on, I worked on the original one, which was on 16th and Washington down north end of Boise.
Yeah.
And there was one up there, and there was one on Fairview, and there was one at Hillcrest Shopping Mall on Franklin and Orchard and Overland. And I was the garden center guy.
Very cool.
You were that guy.
I
That's
sold
awesome.
people petunias and tomato
There you
plants.
go. That's
How
awesome.
fun.
That's so cool. What did you want to do growing up? Like, where was your vision set? Like, what did you want to do? Or did you know? Or did you just do random things?
I went up to University of Idaho for political science
Okay.
with every intention to go into law school and doing all that. And then, that just held no interest. Like most people, once you get to college, it's like, this isn't really what I want to do.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I've changed careers like 6-7 times now.
Well, what do you do now?
Now I co-own with Randy Seals a media site called Eastern Oregon Sports.
Okay.
Website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And we cover high school sports from the Idaho-Oregon border all the way to Heppner, Oregon,
Wow.
and all those towns in between.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
How many schools?
Depends on the season because some schools don't play football because they're like Long Creek, Ukiah are so small. But we cover about 40 schools.
That's a lot of schools.
Wow.
What made you want to get into that? How did you stumble upon that?
You know, I wrote sports for the Argus Observer for a number of years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wrote sports for a weekly newspaper over in Vail. And I could see that the era of finding sports coverage in a local newspaper was quickly dwindling and was going to die. I mean, places I worked that used to have 3 or 4 people writing sports have none or one part-timer now.
Sure.
So Randy and I got together and decided, you know, the idea of sports coverage in small areas needs to be continued, but it's not going to be in print. It's going to be online.
Digital.
So we just decided to pick up the slack and
Fill in the
all
gaps
those
for small towns.
Yeah, for all those small towns that want to know, you know,
What's
how their
going
teams are doing, they can just go online now.
That's so cool. That's neat. When I was younger, the first time I met you, you were still working for the Argus,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this Eastern Oregon sports thing?
Well, Randy and I had a great idea, so we started it the year that Oregon did away with high school sports, which is not a great business plan.
Probably not.
We
no.
announced, you know, hey, we're opening up this multimedia site, but there's no sports to cover.
That was 2020, right?
Yeah. So I was like,
Nice.
this is
You're
the-
like, what do we do now?
Oops.
well, it was like, so we're going to go out and get advertisers and get people excited about
Yeah.
this, but there is no sports.
Dang it. Which is where probably Idaho came in play. I'm
No, we
assuming.
don't cover anything in Idaho.
Okay.
We stay only in Oregon. So we just kind of, for a year, muddled along with like, here's the new leagues that OSAA is coming up with when we go
Can do
back to
sports.
sports.
That's funny.
Or-
You just kind of floundered around
That's
for a while.
rough.
Here's somebody who used to go to NISA who's now going to college here, and they're actually doing something. So here's a story about them.
This is exciting.
So we just kind of muddled along
Yeah.
and we didn't take any advertisers. We didn't do anything. We just kind of did it on our own,
Sure.
own dime. Just, you know, trying to get the name out there, but it was really tough.
Oh, I'm sure.
The
No
business
sports.
plan of opening a business when there is no
Business,
sports.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not
That's
real.
a little rough.
That wasn't
Bad
real
business
smart.
advice for
Yeah.
sure. That's so funny. Were you still working for the Argus when you started that, or did you leave the Argus?
No, I left the Argus, went to work for the Enterprise over in Vail, worked for them for about 8 years, and then a new owner came in, and we left.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Like, so when did your thing start to take off? Was it after sports? Obviously, after sports probably came back.
Yeah,
right?
we need sports to come back.
Were you guys in on that? Were you guys like ones pushing to get sports back? Like, how did that look for you guys?
You know, we did quite a few stories about, there was a group in Oregon, you know, bring sports back and everything else. And we did some interviews with them and everything else, but we just kind of, just waited it out. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and
Felt it
then
out.
we had that shortened season, which kind of got people interested, but not really. I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't enough.
no, I
Yeah.
mean, people were, you know, hey, we get to play 3 games and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
No state tournaments, no district tournaments,
Yeah, kind of a.
but it wet people's
Blow.
appetite.
Okay. So, how big is your team? Because I imagine you kind of have to have a decent sized team to go do coverage for all these schools, or do you just work
You know-
like a dog and drive everywhere all the time?
Well, I'm like a dog and drive everywhere all the time. However, people are excited to hear about their, you know, their
Of
town.
course.
So between messenger and text, you know, it's forever. It's, you know, parents and everybody else saying, "Hey, we're here and we just won 64-35."
So other people kind of keep you in the loop.
They keep us in the
Yeah.
loop, and then we've had a number of photographers step up across the state,
That's awesome.
saying, you know, "Can we send our photos?" Yes.
You're like, please do.
Well, the other thing too is their photos can be sold through our site, and they get the proceeds.
Oh,
nice.
that's cool.
That's cool.
Because when, you know, a lot of parents aren't able to travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Riverside's coming to play Vale or Monument Dayville's coming over to Adrian, you can get pictures of your kid in the Adrian gym
At the game you weren't able to go to.
at the game you weren't able to go to.
That's big.
That is
Yeah,
huge.
that's one thing that I did when I was in high school. That's photography wise. Was I would pitch to parents like, I'll go to all the away games because my brother played sports, and I'll take pictures of your kid. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I grew up doing. So
Yeah.
you're just doing that on a bigger scale. That's
And-
cool.
And like we had a photographer at the state track meet. So,
Oh, that's neat.
at state with the new stadium, you can watch your kid, but you're about half a mile away up in the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
The photos, they get down to the nitty gritty of
So
it.
if you
That's
want
cool.
photos of your kid at the long jump, 3 feet away, we had them.
So do you
That is
guys
so cool.
do a lot of live coverage?
We haven't started the live so much yet.
So that's definitely something you want to start introducing.
Legally,
maybe-
I'm not sure we can.
Okay, oh.
NFHS has signed an agreement with OSAA to where they're doing all the live streaming.
That sucks.
Kinda,
sorta.
But it's just a video.
Yeah.
There's no commentary. There's no anything. It's just you sit there on your laptop and watch your team, and hope the camera follows the action.
Be interesting if you could take their video and put voiceover over the top of it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. But
Like just a way for them to like almost host on your site in a way. Be interesting.
because
But
the
yeah, we have-
commentary is what keeps people interested.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is a lot of these teams, especially now, you don't know who the other team is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like watching
that's
a
true.
football game, like a Boise State football game, but you don't get the commentary.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know what just happened,
I'm
or
just watching some people run around here.
yeah,
That's cool.
I would lose interest
Right.
fast.
What we have done though is we follow a lot of people who were in high school around the area, but are now playing collegiately, like EOU, Boise State.
That's cool.
How are they doing after they left?
Oh, that's cool.
That
That's
is
a
super
different
cool.
aspect that I think most people don't even think about, right?
Yeah, because I mean, people leave the area and it's like, well, I know they went to college, but did they ever do anything
Yeah,
there?
like I don't know where they went.
Well, like look at John Bates, for example.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
Came from here.
way
went to college.
exceeded
Yeah, yeah, everyone's expectations.
everybody's expectations
And now he's in the NFL, which is nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
for
super
the
cool.
Commanders.
Is that what they changed their name to?
Yes, the Washington
That's
Commanders.
so stupid.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But
But I mean, we've got, Allie's playing over at Boise State, Signer's playing at EOU, bunch of cross country and track at EOU. Vale Girl is wrestling at Central Methodist. I mean, they're all over the place.
that's cool. So what's like? I'm assuming like you guys get ad revenue and stuff from advertisers. What kind of people advertise with you guys on your site? How does that work? for you guys?
A bunch of websites have gone to pay. You have to pay to actually see it.
Sure.
We decided not to do that at all.
Okay.
It's a free site. Anybody can go. Anybody can look at the pictures. Anybody can read the articles. We are sourced solely just by advertisers and sponsors.
Okay.
And these are local businesses that believe that their local teams deserve recognition, and that when their local team plays on a Friday night, the score's up, the kids are mentioned, Billy did this, Sam did this. These are local businesses that believe in what we do and that it's so important that they want to pay my
Help
gas.
you guys do that.
Yeah, pay my gas bill so I can drive to some
Drive
place I've
across the
never
state.
heard of.
Yeah.
Welcome
To
to,
be able to
Doofer.
give that to the community.
Yeah, seriously. That's super cool because, like, as a parent out here, it's hard to travel a long ways sometimes to go watch your kid on the other side of the state.
Well, and that's the other thing, because local newspapers concentrate on, your local team.
Yeah.
The problem with Eastern Oregon is the leagues geographically are so huge.
Very far apart.
NISA may think they're doing great,
Yeah.
But do you know what Riverside's doing? Because they're, 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have no idea.
Yeah.
No clue. No way to know how they're doing. No way to know plays. No way to know anything.
So we've kind of brought in the geographical area of, look, here's all the high desert teams. Here's how they're all doing. Not just Adrian, not just Harper. Here's how all the high desert teams are doing.
And you can go to the same place to find all of that out.
Yeah.
I like
Which is
that.
awesome.
What does growth look like for you guys? Where are you trying to grow? Are you trying to add more? What's the vision look like?
Originally, we were not covering Hermiston because although they're in Eastern Oregon, they played in Washington. We got a bunch of nasty emails from parents saying that
That's not fair.
you don't cover
whatever.
Hermiston. We live in Oregon. How come you don't cover us? So, well, because you play in Washington. So we started covering Hermiston. So we even cover Hermiston has varsity girls bowling.
Wow. Interesting.
That is so
I didn't know that.
interesting.
So you will see stories of Susan upped her average to 127 after bowling a 134 last night against Chemectica.
Oh my gosh.
That's cool. Huh. Interesting. So do you guys have a YouTube aspect of it at all, or do you how do you
YouTube
conduct
and TikTok
interviews?
we haven't started.
Sure.
I'm old, so I haven't figured out how we garner Snapchat yet.
That's what your kid's for over there.
Yeah, put him to work.
But I don't need all the girls on Snapchat
Oh, there you
that
go.
he has. So
That's so funny.
YouTube's coming because
Okay.
we are starting to do a lot more video. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
YouTube's starting to make a huge... I mean, I don't know if it ever stopped, but I feel like it was super big when I was younger, and then it kind of plateaued. But now it's coming back for sure, because they have a whole reel section and everything now.
They do.
Like TikTok,
Yeah, and the other thing too is just for me to drive all the way to Elgin to interview one player about one game just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Sure.
It's a lot easier just to set up, a
Zoom
video
calls
chat
Yeah.
and
Do it
record
that
it
way.
and then push it out.
I mean, that's very, very effective because I'm a part of a coaching group that's what he does. And that's solely how his podcast thrives is through Zoom, basically. So Zoom really, or any other kind of video recording platform, really brings the farness aspect closer
Yeah.
to you.
It's
The
a
other thing-
convenient way for everybody.
And the other thing too is people now don't read these huge articles anymore.
Nope.
They want
Audio.
The
a
highlights.
7 to 11 minute video they can watch while they're waiting for dinner to cook, turn it off, and they are fully,
Yeah.
they
They're
fully have
informed.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Reading sucks now. People are losing the ability to read.
Yeah,
which
they
is
are.
so weird. Which is so weird. But I'm very guilty of it. I don't touch books anymore. I listen to audio only. Most of my stuff is through video. It's how I learn now. So it's
It's just more
It's crazy.
convenient that way because
is.
you can do other things while also...
I can have
You know what I
headphones in
mean?
my ear and not have to carry a book around while I'm trying to do something else.
Well, and if you're reading, you can't cook dinner while you're reading. You can't. It's hard.
Well, we've seen, unless we have a really enticing photo on top of an article, nobody reads it.
Interesting.
But if you have,
An eye catcher.
yeah, if you've got the gal doing the spike and it hits the other girl in the face, then people will
That's gonna be
People
People
will
are
click
gonna
on
read
it.
it.
Clicking.
Yeah.
click on it and start reading, well, was she hurt? What happened to her?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true though.
The video with a small short article aspect of it.
Yeah,
It's probably your biggest thing now.
Just, miles and miles of text. Nobody will read it anymore.
Just people will have lost that time that they want to take. It's so fast paced of a world anymore.
And everybody's busy.
Yeah.
But we found that the smaller the community, the more important how their high school teams are doing is
To them.
to them. Pendleton's huge. If the Buckaroos aren't doing real great, yeah, people care, but not as much.
I hear more from people in the community how sports are doing here than Boise. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just not really talked about unless you're at the school.
Jordan Valley has 18 kids in the whole high school. The entire high school has 18 kids.
That's crazy. That literally blows my mind.
Small town sports are it
Yeah.
for small towns.
If Jordan Valley girls basketball is doing well, everybody wants to know because there's 18 people in the whole high school.
That is nuts.
That means
And
there's
30 people in the town.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
you know. So, if they do well, everybody wants to know about it.
Yeah.
That's so
It's
cool.
kind of the talk of the town.
I mean, that's really unique. How do you guys get into schools? Do you guys talk to anybody? Like, or you just show up and start doing your
Yeah,
thing?
do you guys have to like prearrange it?
No, because OSAA sends out a media pass, but you have to meet a bunch of credentials to get a media pass.
Okay.
So we have media passes, but it's best to have the cell phone numbers to every athletic director that you can possibly get. So you can just say, hey, I'm going to be in Baker Friday night, want to meet after the game, or, will you buy me a hamburger if I show up? Or,
Yeah.
Okay, so
most places, though, they know me by face.
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I've seen you around everywhere because you were always at all the games. So
I've done it way too long,
Yeah.
so everybody, most of the athletic directors I started with, they've retired and they're in, Hawaii
Wherever.
now or
Yeah.
someplace else. I'm still here in the cold. But, as new and new coaches come on, and you got to train the new coaches.
yeah,
Okay, so if you win, I get to talk to 2 kids and you. If you lose, I don't want to talk to any kids, just you.
These are the rules.
It is. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to go up to some kid who just lost a game and go, so how do you feel?
How do you think you
I
did?
feel like shit. Thank you for asking.
You blew the last play.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
What do you have to say to the fans who are highly disappointed in you now?
Your brother was so much better than you.
Hey, that gets clicks though. I'm not knocking it. It gets clicks. That's so funny though. But yeah, I mean, I get that. I get that a lot. That's unique. I mean, that's not something that I would have ever thought to do or to even be about because there's so many small towns around here that
They don't get the
don't connect to it.
recognition. You know what I
This is
mean?
so cool. Like my mind is blown.
Well, the
I
other
gotta
thing,
think
too,
about
is
words.
it's truly amazing what I've seen. It's just, there are literally towns that can't put together a team. Or when they show up, there's 5 people for a basketball game, 3 girls, 2 boys, and no bench. And they play boys basketball because
That's
what
all
they
there
want.
that's all there
Yeah.
is. And I've
that's
seen,
nuts.
player gets injured, okay, so we're going to play 4 on
We
5.
have 4.
That is crazy.
And I hope to God they can stop the bleeding and he gets back because we need a
Oh
5th
my
player.
goodness. That's nuts. What?
It is crazy how different sports are. Like the smaller community you're in.
I bet you get a lot of heated emails and texts and phone calls. Because you are now the person that they kind of despise, probably. If
Most
you
of them
covered
are.
something.
You mentioned the kid that scored 10 points. My kid scored 9 points and you didn't mention him.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Ugh.
we played last night. How come you weren't there?
You're like,
well,
I
if
am one single person. I can
get a
only be at one
photographer
place
for
one
me.
time.
But a lot of it is very positive of, hey,
We love what you're doing.
nobody ever covered us before. Our local paper shut down 12 years ago, and since then, nobody ever covers us anymore.
That's cool. And it makes the kids feel good, right? Like, as a
Yeah.
kid, you see somebody taking pictures of you, you're like, I'm going to do a little bit better. I'm going to show off a little bit more.
And we're talking about, gyms that are 85 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old.
Or, teams that haven't had a winning season in 10 years.
That's so cool. That's crazy. I bet you see a lot of stuff doing that.
Yeah, we do. A lot of really good stories about, kid that was picked on in 3rd grade and now he's the starting quarterback as a junior.
Oh, that's cool. That's good coverage.
The big thing right now is the explosion in girls wrestling.
Yeah, that is a big thing. I hear a lot about that.
There's multiple teams now across Eastern Oregon that have more girls than boys on the team.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Interesting.
Well, not every girl is 6'1" and
Can play
shoot
basketball?
a three,
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
More and more colleges are offering collegiate scholarships in girls wrestling.
That's cool.
You know,
Actually.
it's just another avenue for girls to go to college
Yeah.
and be able to do something, and they don't have to play in the paint.
Yeah. Huh.
Because like Nissa, do they have a volleyball team?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
We're not like that far out of.
No,
nowhere.
I just didn't. I'm like thinking about the sports, and I've just never heard volleyball really be talked about.
Volleyball,
so I
track,
wasn't sure.
soccer, all of them, pretty much. Short of water polo or swimming. We don't have any of that.
Nissa at one time had a swim team.
They
I
did.
think I knew that.
It was one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
I bet he won
really,
every time.
really good.
That's crazy.
How
And
long
he-
ago was that?
It was about 4 years ago.
Finding a pool to practice in would be.
And he had his
Vail
own
has
pilot
one.
license, so he would fly himself to meets, swim, get back in his plane, fly back.
That's crazy.
Dang.
That is freaking
Yeah,
sweet.
it's just stuff that you don't hear about. That's so cool.
That is really cool.
That is so cool.
He had to go before the board, NISA school board, and say, "Hey, I want to be a swim team." And they had to say, "Okay, you're a swim team." They had to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would fly to Portland area, swim,
go
and
competing,
meets,
yeah.
get back on his plane, fly back to NISA, and be back in school the next morning.
Good for him. That's dedication.
Dude.
That's wild.
That's nuts. What's the craziest story like that you've heard, or is that the craziest one? 'Cause
No, I
that's pretty
mean,
cool.
we've seen lots of good things. A couple years ago, Long Creek Ukiah was in Adrian. It was going to be a blowout. And when Long Creek Ukiah finally scored a basket late in the second quarter, the whole fan base of Adrian stood up and did a standing ovation.
That's
That's
neat.
awesome.
Huh. That's really cool.
Been to state championships, froze my butt off numerous times in ice storms.
I imagine so. How long do you plan on doing this for? What's your shelf life of this? Because when you
It's-
leave, who's going to take over? How does it keep going?
I don't think so. I don't know. I can still get around.
Be wheeling you in a wheelchair to
Yeah.
these things?
I may die of a heart attack on a football field, taking that final picture in the end zone.
What a
but
way to go.
I don't know. I don't know. The business continues to grow. People continue to accept us. People are excited and, want to see what we're doing. So as long as it's fresh and new, and as long as we can keep bringing new ideas into the marketplace, we'll keep doing it.
Okay. That's very nice.
With my son in high school, it has limited, I do have to go see him every once in a while.
Yeah. He is your kid, I guess we should probably make time for that.
He does pick up a lot of holding calls on defense, so
He gets a lot of coverage on him, does he? That's funny. So,
actually, I don't run pictures of my own kid ever.
Really?
Yeah, I never have.
That's why you can't find a girlfriend. John brought his kid on, by the way, for those that are just listening. and
We
not
tried to
in.
convince him to be on the
he
podcast,
just
but
wouldn't
he
be
wasn't
on.
about it.
Not happy about this.
No. He's like, you guys suck. I'm not coming to this again.
So I know it's Eastern Oregon sports, but do you plan on eventually expanding to the entire state of Oregon?
I don't think it's really needed to the, and here's the thing. Portland schools complain because they have to drive like a mile and a half to a league game,
You're like, do you want me to tell you what we do?
and we have a good, right now there's about 4 or 5 companies doing what we do. There's Mid-Major Media and Oregon Predict, and then Nick String's working for the Oregonian, and he and I work together all the time. If he needs stuff out here, I'll do it. If I need stuff over there, he'll do it. But
Okay.
over there's huge newspapers.
Sure.
And, I have no desire to cover 6A teams.
Yeah.
That's fair. But, like, what about other small towns in Oregon? Because there's small towns over there that probably don't get coverage.
And that's possible, but we'd have to pick up staff to do it.
Gotcha.
I mean, I just can't.
I'm sure you can't be in 9
I can't
places
be in
at once.
Astoria.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about, like, moving it to the small towns in Idaho that are close to here?
There's a website called idahosports.com.
Oh. So they already kind of have.
We have a informal agreement not to tread on each other.
Oh, okay. So this has already been
handshake. If I won't-
The Snake River kind of like,
borders that, yeah.
You get this side and I get this side.
Oh, okay. So they're already getting coverage in a way.
They do.
You're like, we could probably do better.
But I just don't,
Yeah.
do I want to go to Parma? Not really.
I mean, you got
Yeah.
enough to do over here. 40 schools. I mean, that's not a small number.
Yeah.
What's your guys' busiest season?
Winter sports is horrible.
Is it?
Winter sports is just terrible.
Why is it bad?
Fall sports is easy. There's one football game a week for everybody.
No. Okay.
And if schools will schedule it correctly, I can cover 2 games in a day.
That's awesome.
And then you throw in a couple volleyball games. Winter comes down to there's boys basketball
Yeah.
and there's girls basketball. And every school that doesn't have enough kids to play football, they have a basketball team.
Okay.
And then boys and girls each play 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if you're bored, you throw in wrestling.
I was going to say, what about wrestling? Okay.
Nice.
So, yeah. What?
No, I was just saying.
Yeah, so you stay busy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The good thing is the days of duels for wrestling are pretty much done because there's just not enough officials. So now everybody goes to these huge, huge tournaments where, 18, 20 teams show up and wrestle from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
Sure. That's probably a little easier on you in terms of drive time, but
That's a long day, though.
that's a really long day.
And the gyms are packed.
Yeah.
Too full.
And they're probably not very big gyms.
Oh, they're huge gyms.
Oh, are they?
Usually.
Yeah, the one coming up here at the Idaho Center.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, so they do
that's
it at,
just
like-
ridiculous. There's
Yeah.
40-something mats going at once.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And for you to try to find, one wrestler.
That you're looking for in
it's
particular?
There's no way.
Yeah, that's tough. That would be
But
tough.
you bring in state champions from 3 or 4 different states and all at the same weight division.
Yeah. That's hard.
Calhoun's a little easier.
Yeah, Calhoun's not bad. I mean, I used to sell nuts at the Calhoun game. So
Calhoun knows. I mean, gym was packed this
big.
year.
Yeah, it's always full. Always full. That's cool. Well, we certainly appreciate you doing this for people, and I'm sure
Yeah.
a lot of other people are in the same boat with us. That's cool because I mean anything because that's what we believe here with our podcast is we want small towns to thrive, and the more we can help out our local people, the better. So the more people know about this stuff, the more people know about coverage. I think the better.
And I appreciate it. It's just, it was the right thing to do at the right time.
Yeah.
We heard from schools of, God, nobody's been to our game in, all
Years.
season.
Yeah.
Or once we made, the quarterfinals of state, somebody showed up. But other than that, nobody's ever come. And we just decided to fill that void.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a void that needed filled, though. So.
I think
That's it,
so. I
yeah.
mean, small towns get the kind of the brunt of what goes on in the world, right? You don't get coverage. You got no businesses in town. Your schools are small. Like
If you don't have enough
people don't
players
look at
to
you.
play and
You just don't
things
get
like
looked
that.
at. So having somebody to come in and take the time to take pictures, and videos, and interviews, and
And have a
coverage of the
site where you can
games.
go look and see all the different schools you want to see.
Yeah,
Well, and the other thing, too, is, your small town, you live there, but grandma and grandpa live in Boise or,
Exactly.
San Francisco. Did our grandson or granddaughter win last night? I don't
Yeah.
know.
let's look.
I'll just check
Yeah.
the website. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it broadens the horizons of going from just a small town, you had to be there to see it, to now everybody in the United States that knows of this small town can be like, I
Or
want to
knows
see
of
how our
somebody
football
on the
team
team,
did.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get comments all the time of, I live in Wisconsin. I saw my nephew's picture yesterday. Thanks. Or
That's awesome.
Yeah. See, that's cool. It just kind of broadens everybody's horizon a little
Yeah.
bit. That's so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for starting that.
You're doing a good thing.
Yeah,
We
I
appreciate
think so.
it, and I know a lot of other people do too.
Well, thank you for being on today.
Yeah.
Cool. It's cool. Last minute little thing. I love
No,
it.
we plan on having lunch here too. So
Oh, there you go.
Cool.
That's why he came.
That's why he's here.
He's like, for the food.
flip the buns around. The whole thing.
It's upside down or nothing at all. I love that. Well, John, thank you for being on today. I absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you
I do
so
have
much.
one last question before we go. And you kind of already talked about this, but what's the one impact that you want to have on the community?
I want the kids, whether they start or they're third string, to always be valued and know that somebody cares if they play the whole game or if they play the last 30 seconds, that somebody's going to be there and actually cares about what they're doing.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Appreciate it. As always, folks, keep it local.
Keep it local.